Howdy folks, Michelle Valancourt coming to you from Prince Edward Island, Morel, up on the North Shore. Just want to give you a quick update on my greenhouse. Turns out my greenhouse works, which is a pleasant surprise. Temperatures were up by early April, 25 degrees Celsius. By mid-May, up over 40 Celsius, trending towards 50 Celsius. Way too hot, so I had to do something. Got lucky. Someone I know was getting rid of a couple pieces from an old bakery, the display cases. So it's plexiglass, about 8 feet long, 22 inches wide, cut into 19-inch by 19-inch panels, all strung together with some piano hinge. One of the display cases, 2 panels just like it, so I decided I was going to use one of those for a set of vent windows. So I framed up a section on the side of the greenhouse with some 2x4s, 4-foot pieces or 2-foot pieces. Nailed it straight through the 3 layers of 6mm poly, straight into the 4x4s that form up the frames, and it works well. The idea is that it gives a firm overlap the whole way through that I can hook up to. The piano hinge was hooked onto the plexi with some angle aluminum, and so that of course was going to not fit properly up against the 2x4s on the edges, so I had to take an angle grinder and with some guidance and assistance from one of my housemates, Doug Clark, put a 50mm 4-inch cut into each end just so it would fit nice and snug onto where I needed to nail it. So here it is, tacked onto the frame. You can see I've got it nailed in 3 places, and those are in fact snap lids for doing canning. Of course, once you've used them once, you can't reuse them, so I use them as washers for tacking the 6mm poly down, in this case the plexi. The great thing is, of course, is it spreads the load out over a wide area, so you don't have to worry about the screws pulling through, or worse, cracking the plexiglass. So yeah, works fairly well. Once it was rigged up on the outside and I knew roughly where it was going to go, I then had to do the scary part, which is actually cutting the 6mm poly. The greenhouse is wood frame, as I've said in a previous video, with a hybrid dome over the top of it, and then it's covered in 3 layers of 6mm poly, nothing too fancy. So, of course, you know, it's a couple of $100 worth of material, so I'm always worried about if I'm going to do something wrong with this kind of stuff. So took out my utility knife and boldly, you know, cut out 3 sides of the window. I've actually left the piece into place and just rolled up out of the way. So the idea is that during winter I can unroll it back down, and if I even want to, I can use a little bit of masking tape or the like just to close it back up and give myself an extra layer of insulation there. But yeah, so scary thing done, cut the hole. So the next thing I needed to do, of course, was come up with a way to keep the windows open. I was trying not to drill any further holes in the poly other than the ones that had already been done there by a professional. So what I did was I had some old conduit laying around and made myself up a little jig, as you can see on a board here, and cut some pieces 9 inches long, and came in 1 inch from the end and put a 1.5 inch screw down through it into the wood frame, and they just flip out. So they turn on that end screw. So I can, to close them, I just flip the pipe, the piece of conduit, parallel to the window frame, and the window closes. Then I took another piece of the same conduit, about 3 inches long, a couple more snap top lids for canning, and made up a little toggle that goes down at the bottom. So you can see here the one of the windows is closed, the pipe, inside conduit, the standoff is closed up, and the toggle's flipped up, and that nicely secures the window good and tight up against the frame. So I realized while goofing around with the demo I could use this to partially open the window, either just the width of the toggle or by wedging the standoff ahead of the toggle just to give a partially open gap as opposed to a wide open gap. So that was a nice little discovery. So once I knew that was working, then I expanded my jig and I went into production and just cut 3 pieces right away here, and used the screws that I needed as pivot points, my apologies, to hold everything good and snug while I was cutting away with my saw. So this is finished product. You can see here I've got 3 of the windows toggled closed. I got 2 of the windows popped open, and I've got the top fully secured. I've got a couple other set screws into the top of the piano hinge, so it's well braced, and that sets me up. That should let me have a good amount of airflow that I can regulate. If weather's inclement, I can make sure the windows are tight and good and tight. If I just run a bead of silicone around some of the edges, that should be pretty much waterproof and should do everything I need. I've got another one of these covers, as I commented earlier, so if I need more cooling, I've got the space just past this window to set up another one. So hope you liked the video, folks. Thanks so much for watching. If you got any questions or whatever about what it is I've done or how it is I did it, do me a favor and just leave them in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer you. Thanks very much for watching. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.